All right. Well, in the previous video, we made a radio image, a Doppler image of the Andromeda galaxy. Doppler imaging is a little bit different. Here, color corresponds to motion. This is all imaging of the 21 centimeter emission line of cold neutral hydrogen. There's a bunch of it in our galaxy. There's a bunch of it in the Andromeda galaxy. Emits at a particular frequency, and that frequency can get redshifted or blue shifted depending upon the motions. So we selected different frequency ranges to correspond to different colors, and this is what we got. In this image, what we chose to color pink, completely an arbitrary choice, but what we chose to color that bomber pinkish color is the Milky Way in our galaxy. And so we're looking through the clouds in our galaxy, and then off in the distance, we see Andromeda. And here you can see it's rotating. One side is redshifted, so it's rotating away from us, and one side is blue shifted, so it's rotating towards us. It's pretty cool. Now, as we do with many things in this course, we make an image, either a pretty image or an interesting image, and then we calculate physical quantities from it. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to measure things like how long until Andromeda collides with us, collision timescale, and we're going to weigh Andromeda, which is pretty amazing. Just from this image, we can calculate those kinds of things. Okay, so there's a spreadsheet linked in the module, or if it's not yet, it will be. And there are multiple tabs. The first tab here is for Andromeda. The later tabs are for something later in the module where we look at more distant galaxies. Okay, there's a place to put your name or your team name, and we're going to work our way across. Okay, so the first column here is the center frequency. So the frequency corresponding to the middle of that green band. That green band is in the center, and so we want to look up its frequency range and take the middle frequency. And I have an image here for that. Here's how we defined all of the bands, the luminance layer, which encompasses all of the emission from Andromeda, red, green, and blue, which correspond to the red third, the green middle, the blue third. And by red, green, blue, I mean the red shifted, and green the central, and blue the blue shifted component of that luminance band. And then H1, that's our narrow band. That's the Milky Way hydrogen. And it's very narrow around here. Anyway, we want the center of the galaxy. That was the green band. Here it is. The center of the green band will be the average of these two numbers. So 1421.7. Okay. So you put that here, 1421.7, and that's megahertz. So the first thing we're going to calculate is the overall, forget the rotation, just the overall motion of the galaxy towards us or away from us. And for that, we use the Doppler equation. Here it is. But let me put it up on the dot cam as well. So the velocity divided by the wave speed. In this case, it's light. So the wave speed is the speed of light. It's often defined as the change in wavelength over the emitted wavelength, or you can rearrange some terms. It's the change in frequency over, turns out, the observed frequency. And that's what we have written here. Solving for V, the velocity, the motion of the center of the galaxy, the speed of light, times the emitted frequency, and all, the 21 centimeter emission line emits at 1420.4 megahertz, minus the observed frequency, 1421.7, quantity divided by 1421.7. So you can calculate that. You can code that in here. It's equal to the speed of light. You got that number right there, 3e to the 5 times the emitted frequency, 1420.4 minus the observed frequency divided by the observed frequency. Yeah, so you can get that in there. I'm not going to fill these out. I want you to have the pleasure of doing it yourself. Okay, that will give you a motion, and it'll be negative in the case of Andromeda because this frequency is less than that. So when you subtract them, it's negative. And what that means is it's coming towards us. Okay, so it's radial motion. Now, anything has two components, as motion either towards or away, and then motion to the side. Now, in the case of Andromeda, we've been looking at Andromeda for a long time, and we're not really picking up any sideways motion. It'd be very slow, right? If something's moving to the side, very slow, you'd have to watch for years, decades to detect it. But we have been watching Andromeda for decades. We have photographic plates going back a century or so. And there's just not really any sideways motion. All this motion, that line of sight velocity, is its velocity. It's heading straight towards us. And so we should be able to calculate the collision timescale approximately. Let me go back to the doc cam. So this is a very simple equation. Velocity is distance divided by time. When you're driving in your car, you drive, a certain distance in a certain time, you can calculate your velocity. So flipping it around, the time until collision is the distance divided by the velocity. Okay. Now, distance goes here. And for that, just look it up on the web. Maybe go to the Wikipedia page, but make sure you get it in kilometers because our velocity is in kilometers per second. So the equation's also here. You take that distance, you divide by the absolute value of the velocity. Not so concerned about that negative sign anymore because it's not going to collide at a negative time. It's going to collide at some point in the future. You take the distance, divide by the absolute value of the velocity, and you have the collision timescale in seconds. We want it in years, so there's the conversion. So let me show you the math here. This would be equal to the distance divided by the absolute value of the line of sight velocity. That's in seconds. And so to get to years, we're going to divide by 3.15 e to the 7. That's how many seconds in a year. It's approximately pi times 10 to the 7. Fun little fact. Okay, that'd be the collision timescale in years. Now, you'll calculate it, but I'll give you the approximate answer here because it's kind of fun to think about. This is just an animation, all right? Yeah, an artist version. It's not an animation. It's not based on a simulation or anything, just artist rendering, but gives you an idea of what this will look like. So the collision timescale is about 3 billion years. We zoom in here. This is the sky right now. Here's our Milky Way galaxy. There's Andromeda off there in the distance. If you know where to look with binoculars, you can see it with your eye, about 3 degrees across or so. And in a billion years, it's going to be this big. It's coming right at us. 2 billion years, it's going to be this. Just imagine going outside and looking at the Andromeda galaxy, filling the sky like that. Then in 3 billion years, we collide. And when we collide, it's kind of nifty. All the stars, there won't be any stellar collisions. The space between stars is huge compared to the size of the stars. The stars will pass through each other and come back in big gravitational dance and end up as a single galaxy. But what will collide are those big clouds of gas. And so the clouds of gas will smack into each other, they'll collapse and form stars. In fact, all the gas that's left, right now we have a supply of gas and it's slowly being turned into stars. Whatever's left at this point in time, all of it goes at once. It all collapses, forms stars. We become what's called a starburst galaxy. It's going to produce a lot of blue, really bright blue stars, a lot of star-forming regions. So you'll see blue, you'll see H alpha pink, that bomber color. And then just a few million years later, million, that's nothing. We've been talking about billions, millions, small amount. The most massive stars, they live hard and die young, as you may recall. So just a few million years after the collision, they'll supernova, and the sky will fill with supernova explosions. And right now in our galaxy, we get a supernova maybe once every century or longer. We're a little bit overdue. And I don't know what the rate will be when this happens, but it could be every week. It could be every day. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a fireworks display. The sky will look something like this. And then it starts to calm down. Those massive stars blow up and they're gone. And there's no more gas to make any new stars. And here you see the two galaxies kind of dancing around, and the gas is mostly gone, and the stars are mixing, and you'll end up with what we call an elliptical galaxy. Elliptical galaxy, it's kind of like a globular cluster. All the massive stars, you see, there's no more gas. And so you're not making any new stars. And once the massive stars are gone, you have less massive stars, and they're not as blue. So they look kind of white. And as they get older, they get redder, and no new stars because there's no new gas and new star forming regions. They're kind of boring. I may have mentioned back in module 2, globular clusters are kind of boring because you don't get a lot of color variation. It'll just be a disorganized group of aging stars with no gas and mostly disorganized. When the galaxies are very ordered, the motion is spiral motion is very ordered. When they collide, it'd be a big mix and probably won't have any ordered structure left, in which case we're an elliptical. A little bit of ordered structure survives. It's called a lenticular, but it's pretty much the same thing. Will look like this. Okay, so you just measured the collision timescale. Pretty cool. Now, let's measure the mass of Andromeda. Let's weigh the whole damn galaxy. It's amazing. You can do that all the way from here. We can weigh the galaxy. So what we need is an edge frequency. And so we want the left side of the red band or the right side of the blue band. Let me put this back up here. Pop back here. So the red band extends all the way to here. The blue band extends all the way to here. So the left side of the red band is 1420.5. The right side of the blue band is 1422.9. Either or, pick one edge or the other. That frequency goes here. What was it? 1422.9 was one of them. Let me just double check. Yeah. Put that here, 1422.9. And then calculate the speed of that side of the galaxy. And again, you just use the Doppler equations right here. That's now your observed frequency, same emitted frequency. So this one is even more blue shifted. This is the side, so it's moving towards us, so it's blue shifted, and one side's on top of that rotating towards us, so it's even more blue shifted, and you get a high velocity for that one. The other side, the red side, what was it? 1420.5. That's pretty close to 1420.4. So the red side of the galaxy, it's kind of interesting. The galaxy's coming towards us, but that side is rotating away and it cancels out. And it's almost stationary. That side's sitting there and it's doing this. Anyway, you get that in there. You calculate the rotation speed, same as before. You get the frequency. No, I'm sorry. You get the frequency in here. You calculate the line of sight speed, and then you get the rotation speed by taking the difference, the absolute value, the difference between the edge velocity and the line of sight velocity. So this is equal to the absolute value of the edge velocity minus the line of sight velocity. And, I'll let you complete that and find it on your own, but that's how fast it's rotating. Around 200 kilometers per second, just to give you an idea, so you can check yourself. Now, we know how fast it's rotating. Why is that important? Let's go back to the dot cam. So two equations here. This is the equation for the acceleration of a rotating object. Rotating galaxy, whatever the rotation speed is at a certain radius, that's the acceleration. It applies to anything. If you're on like playground equipment or an amusement park ride that's going in a circle, whatever your speed is squared divided by how far you are from the center, that's the acceleration you feel. And in the case of galaxies, they're held together by gravity. So we can write the gravitational acceleration, Newton's constant times the mass contained within your radius divided by radius squared. Okay, let's solve for the contained mass. We want to weigh the galaxy. So the mass within any given radius, and we'll take kind of the outer radius, is equal to the rotation speed squared times r divided by g. Okay, so we just figured out the rotation speed. We figured out the speed of the center towards us, the speed of one edge or the other towards us. We took the absolute value of the difference, and that's the rotation speed. So now we just need the radial distance, the radius of the galaxy. So for that, we're going to go back to Afterglow. We're going to go to the measuring tool right here. And let's zoom in a little bit. Click on the center, and click on the edge. And it's a little bit arbitrary. Do I pick here? Do I pick here? I'll leave that up to you. I just pick something in the middle there. Or you can go in the other direction. Doesn't matter. You can go, somewhere around here. Measure the radius, and it's an angular radius. Any distance measured on an image is an angular distance. We can see this is I got about 90 arc minutes. Okay. And in the spreadsheet, we want the angular radius in degrees. So that would be what I measured, 91, divided by 60 to go from arc minutes to degrees. So I got about 1.5. I said the thing's 3 degrees across. In the optical, that's the diameter. The radius would be 1.5. So I got something like that. I'll let you make your own measurement. Now, to convert that into a physical distance in kilometers, physical radius, we use the small angle equation. It's right here. We take that angle measured in degrees, convert to radians. So divide by 180 degrees, multiply by pi. In Excel, you got to put parentheses there to get the full pi functionality. And then you just multiply by the distance away. That was this column right here. And that will give you the size, the radius of the galaxy in kilometers. Okay, I'll let you fill that in. And then you can calculate the enclosed mass. Again, here's the equation. It's equal to the rotation speed squared times the physical radius divided by Newton's constant, which we have right here, 6.67 e to the minus 20. And that will be the mass of the galaxy in kilograms. It's going to be some crazy number. You can't wrap your mind around. So let's get it in solar masses. We tend to measure the mass of galaxies in solar masses. So once you have that in kilograms, you're going to divide by the mass of the sun right here, 2e to the 30. That's the mass of the sun in kilograms. So this will tell you how many stars, how many suns Andromeda is. And, it will be, you'll calculate it exactly, but it'll be, in the hundreds of billions, a few hundred billion. And it's our sister galaxy. It's pretty much the same as us. And that's kind of our mass too, a few hundred billion solar masses, a few hundred billion times the mass of the sun. And that's not just the stars, that's the gas, that's everything that has a gravitational effect. Okay, so you're going to take your pretty image right here, and you're going to calculate some physically interesting quantities, collision timescale, mass. Okay, that's it for this video.